Hey, it's a Humble Collector here, and today's video is a little bit different than pretty much anything else I've ever done, because I'm talking about my first set of woodwork finds. So an item that comes out of the woodwork, you actually find it in the home or in the collection of the veteran who originally brought it back. In this case, it was the house. The veteran, being from World War I, has long since passed away. But it was really cool because I actually got to find something that was, not from a dealer, not from, a yard sale, whatever. Like, this actually came from the house that it had been in probably since the First World War, which was pretty cool. So this happened back in August. I was originally going to wait till I put together a really nice display to do this video. But I decided I waited long enough. I was really excited to tell you guys about this. So the story behind this is I have a very good friend of mine whose neighbor was being moved into an assisted living facility. And the family was working on clearing out the house. They needed some help. And I was told by him that this person's father had been in the Second World War and had been at the Battle of the Bulge, and that somewhere in the house his service rifle was supposed to be. And they needed help trying to find it because when they were done moving everything out of the house, it was going to be demolished. Now, obviously, as I've said previously, these items were from World War I, which was one of the very, very many interesting things that we ended up finding out. So somewhere along the line, the story got confused. This gentleman, whose name is John Raymond Kintz, I believe. Let me double check my notes here. Yeah, John Raymond Kintz. He would have been in World War I. He was actually born in the, looks like the 1880s, 1890s. And, yeah, so he would have been fairly old to be going over. And I'm going to put up a picture of him here now in editing. That's right, that's a thing that I can actually do now after my video looking at Readout Productions collection. And yes, we were helping clean out this house, and we'd gone through the basement, we were looking at a couple things, and on the way back up the stairs, I realized that there was actually stuff under the stairs, but we hadn't seen a way to get down there. So now I'm going to cut to actual footage of us, well, not us finding it, but of us talking about where and how we found it. Okay, so we were getting ready to leave the basement. We were walking up those stairs, and that's when I saw that there was actually, like, stuff under there. And so behind this couch here, there's actually a panel covering this opening here. This panel right here. Hit that, knock it down. And that back corner there, if I can get the light up, is, well, where that cardboard box is now, that's where the trunk was. This is the trunk. So inside here, as you can see, it's all moth-eaten, but there was stuff from the 1880s, 1890s, World War I, got a couple things, and then down here, grab this, under that picture was the gas mask, so pretty crazy. Found it in a secret room, and yeah, thanks to my friend over here, this is Mike.
Hi.
Yeah. He's the one who told me about this place, and here we are.
Yeah, plenty of cool stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty crazy, right? We actually found something, in a secret room, basically, under the stairs. So what all was in that trunk? Well, let me kind of go through everything here. So in the top part, where all the mouse-eaten papers and things were, one of the items was actually this. It's a neat little sewing kit here. Now, I have nothing to prove that this was actually his, that he took with him to the First World War, but since it was in with all of his other stuff, I think that's a pretty safe assumption. It looks like a little pocket sewing kit that would have been, a private item that a soldier would have had with them. Also, I almost missed this and just left it there to, eventually be gotten rid of, but this YMCA checkerboard. So, for those of you who aren't aware, the YMCA did a whole bunch of charity work during World War I. And this is the kind of item they actually would have given to soldiers. As you can see, it's rather stained and a little grody, but I kind of like it. Also here we have two books. One of which, Yanks, as you can see, again, stained, pretty mouse-eaten. But it actually has a message here. Can't pronounce that German name there, but Germany, I think it's Neuenahr, Germany, from February 10th, 1919. He says this book is all about us. Love, John Raymond Kintz. And yeah, this is a book of poetry that was actually published in Europe. in France specifically, by the Stars and Stripes. Price was 2 francs 50 cents. But yeah, just a bunch of different verses. I haven't had the chance to really look through this yet, but I'm very much looking forward to it. Now also, it's interesting, so you saw the town there, Neuenahr. What's really interesting, I think that's where he was stationed after the war. And I actually have some stuff from Neuenahr. Before I do that, I wanted to do a little bit more about his service. So the family had actually found a box of papers relating to his service, and I was given the opportunity to see that. We found his unit roster, not unit roster, but the unit panorama photograph. I have 2 of those in my collection, actually. But in this case, we were able to see that and figured out that he was actually in the 150th Field Artillery of the 42nd Division, which is the Rainbow Division. And what's interesting about the 150th Field Artillery is they would have been using 155mm guns. So he would have been an artilleryman during the war. I couldn't really find anything to indicate whether or not he'd actually been in combat or if he'd gotten there near the end of the war and been put in the Army of Occupation. But they do actually have a small pocket journal that belonged to him. I took some pictures. Unfortunately, they didn't turn out very well, so I don't have any interesting stories from him to tell you about that. But it started in January of 1919 and went all the way through when he and the rest of the guys that he was with ended up getting sent back home. But yeah, in Neuenahr, I found 2 other items. Well, not in Neuenahr. From Neuenahr, we found these 2 other items. This was also in that trunk. This is like a touristy guest book kind of thing. But what's really interesting about this is if you look here, 1913. Now, I find that kind of interesting because it makes sense that, while he was stationed there during the occupation, that, the only English literature they had was from before the war. Because I'd imagine that 1914, war rolls around, and they end up having to essentially take all these English guidebooks that they printed and shove them in storage, because, not exactly a lot of English tourists around at that point. And when the war is over and you have all of these American soldiers in your town and you want to sell them guidebooks, you just pull the ones out of storage. That's kind of like a really neat thing. There's some nice colored photos in there. It actually looks like a beautiful town. I'd like to go there someday. But yeah, as you can see, it's still got some dust and things from being in that trunk. And yeah, but also, as we were on our way out, I noticed hanging on the wall was this piece of wood here. It's been painted. And if you look right there, Neuenahr. So yeah, this would have also been a souvenir. Now, whether or not this is actually from World War I or if he'd gone back later or gotten this, I don't really know, to be honest with you. But yeah, the pretty neat. And now for the piece that's kind of like the most exciting of it, what I actually found at the bottom of the trunk there. This World War I German gas mask. So I'm going to put up a picture on the screen now of what it looked like when we first got it out and I first brought it back to my house. As you can see, it looks a little bit better now. The mask was very stiff when we brought it out. It's very supple now. I used some hydrojuvenator on it, which some people told me after the fact probably shouldn't have done, but ended up working out. It's much better shape than it was before. Full of dead bugs on the inside of the mask. I cleaned most, if not all, of those out. But yeah, both the eyepieces are intact, not broken at all. It's still got this little string on the top here. You don't often see that. So it's really nice condition gas mask, actually. It looked a lot rougher, as you saw in that first photograph. And yeah, the filter still comes off. See the stamp on there. But yeah, we showed all this to the family, and they ended up allowing me to take all of this, which was very, very kind of them. I really appreciate that. They wanted to keep his papers and things, which I completely understand, and I'm glad that they're still with the family. But yeah, so these all belong to John Raymond Kintz, artilleryman, 150th Field Artillery, 42nd Division. And yeah, Army of Occupation. The gas mask he probably got from, I guess, a German prisoner of war. Probably traded him some cigarettes for it. Interestingly enough, they did actually, in his papers, have a cigarette packet that had writing on it, but unfortunately at this point it was so far gone I couldn't make any of it out or take a good picture of it. So, unfortunately, that part will probably remain a mystery, but I'd imagine he probably traded something along those lines for this gas mask. I don't think he would have picked this up on the field. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video, looking at all this stuff. Yeah, leave a comment down below. Love hearing from you guys. Thank you all for watching. Happy collecting, and I will see you all again soon.